much ball does Lattimore have left at a high level? Is he still elite when he's healthy? That's the big question. And what kind of corner is Washington getting? What kind of locker room presence will they be adding? That is a big part of this as well.
Sure.
They have preached this commander way, the commander tag. Part of that is how you play. The things they like to say, arriving violently. It's not for everybody, right? But a big part of what they've done, culturally speaking, with this brotherhood shtick is they have brought in a lot of guys who are similarly minded, selfless players that are team dudes. It's high football character. I'm not saying it's a bunch of choir boys, right? But it is kind of a bunch of like-minded, cut from the same cloth dogs, so to speak, that want to go out there and hunt together. Is he going to fit or not? That's something you've got to calibrate as best as possible with whatever intel you have. And they tried to put that into the algorithm before the trade.
They got a couple former teammates from when he was in college, right? A couple of Ohio State guys that played with him, certainly. Maybe not in the same position group, but guys that know him. I mean, you try to do every bit of intel you can in that regard because, it's a secondary thing for me. In other words, like, I'll take the talented player who can really help you. And the bonus or the extra part is he going to fit in the way that you guys are doing things, right? Is he going to be the max effort guy? Is he going to do what Alameda Zaccheaus did and sprints down the field to pick up the fumble from Austin Eckler? Is he going to do what Nick Allegretti did to chase the play and pick up Jaden Daniels' fumble or make that block on the outside like every receiver's doing, even when they have no targets on the afternoon? You got to know those sort of things about him if you're going to kind of push the chips all in. So you would think with this group's track record where they're putting that the team name tag on people, you would think he's got it for them.
I'm sure you guys saw the report from Adam Schefter this weekend where he came out Saturday night to say that a lot of people around football are suggesting players want to go to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was mostly kind of a eye-rolling type story in the sense that it's I hate to be this guy, but it's a bit of a water-carrying endeavor for Adam Schefter, right? Like, that's not a black and white true news story. That is rumor. That agents might say my guy wants to go to Washington or whatever, but you could punch holes through that if you want to. Here's what I know, though. Here's what's legitimate about that. They are one of the cool organizations again right now. They are. Everything that made them uninteresting, the butt of jokes, and a place where you didn't want to work is no longer. From the ownership to the front office to the coaching staff to the losing, they have a quarterback that skill position guys want to play with. Not only because he's really good, but because he's in the cool kids club and he's got one of the jackets that he gets to wear to prove it. Like, his incompletion is going to be better than someone else's incompletion. We got the cool guy that everybody loves. By the way, luckily, there aren't many incompletions. That's one of the nice things about having one of the really good quarterbacks. Dan Quinn, before they hired him, even before this thing worked out, when people like me were going, I don't really want a retread defensive mind, thanks. He's one of the most respected, beloved, revered guys in the entire NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You know who likes Dan Quinn? Players.
Everybody. Yeah.
Anyone who's ever played for him, right? Peters is the same kind of way among front office people and agents. They all love them, and they're seeing how they treat their players. We had Austin Eckler's on the show today at 5 o'clock, by the way, telling us what happened when he got his concussion and how they treated him and his family. I told the story about the player that was not Eckler who got hurt in a game, and like they were texting his dad and saying, hey, we got your boy right now getting an MRI. Just want you to know he's perfectly fine. I mean, little tiny things, the way the owners have sit down and have meetings with players. What can we do for you? What do we need to clean up? Oh, you want something different done in the locker room? No problem. It's fixed 3 days later. Word like that gets out, and it has gotten out, and I think it's true, even though there's a little bit of, give me a break, Adam.
Well, but this is where, remember, when we would pass on those surveys, that NFLPA thing, and the instant reaction was twofold. One, an acknowledgement that their systems, their buildings, their facilities, everything was below snuff. Everything was worse than all these guys had at major D1 universities. And people would roll their eyes and be like, just play tough football. Football, that's what matters. Okay, that's fine. You still got to play good football. I understand that. But these are the controllable things that were out of control for the previous ownership group.
Right.
They didn't care about them because they weren't sexy. They didn't translate to anything on the field. He was all too happy talking about the little twerp. He'll go do I spent $100 million on this player. Isn't that great? And smoke a cigar and brag at the country club about it. But he wouldn't spend the $500,000 to clean the carpet or to paint the wall or to, not have to practice in an airport hangar when it rains sometimes for so many years. You know what I mean? Like, this is the unsexy stuff that guys in the trenches for you, they do care about. It's their bodies, their health, their families, their livelihoods, all on the line. And you recognize that, and you can't give them extra salary because that's against the rules. You could take care of them this way, though, right? I mean, that's what colleges have done for decades before they could pay players. You couldn't hand them money directly, but you go, this is basically, in effect, the money we would be handing you. Instead, it's on this beautiful facility. Look at the Whirlpool. Look at the Xbox 360. All the different things that you've got to come play with here. We're doing that for you guys, and it helps.
This is such a huge move for Washington. Their worst position by far. They just added, when healthy, a guy that's been one of the better players in the league over the time of his career. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend and feed you guys that he's been one of the better corners in the league over the last couple of years, but it's not to say that he's been bad or not playing well. He just has not consistently been healthy. If he were to get healthy, sometimes the change of scenery can be huge in that regard. You get around a different training staff, different doctors. Who knows? You get a little added motivation with a contender now to take care of yourself and be on the field. And it's just less stagnant, right? We've all had different factions of our life. You get a new job, and all of a sudden the food tastes a little better, and you put the air down on a spring day, and you breathe that deep oxygen in, and it feels a little better in the lungs. Maybe this will be a nice little boost for Lattimore for the second half of his career at this point. Let's go to the phones, 800-636-1067. How do you guys feel about what is, by the standards of the trade deadline, and certainly for Washington, a pretty sizable blockbuster, going and getting a new starting cornerback for 3 draft picks? Zachary's in Richmond on Grant and Danny. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Grant and Danny, man. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
Man, I am super, super ecstatic, man. That was my only gripe with Adam Peters when he came in, was that he didn't address the cornerback room. And he did, got Sanders still, but I was looking at our division going up against A.J. Brown 2 times a year, C.D. Lamb 2 times a year. I felt like we really need that number one guy. And for him to flip Jahan Dotson to get a better third-round pick and then give up our third-round pick to get a top 15 cornerback in the league, man, you can't ask for anything better than that. I mean, I know, looking at our schedule, if we can really defend top wide receivers, there's no reason we can't get 2 home playoff games this year. And if we can get 2 home playoff games this year, there's no reason we can't go to Detroit and pull off an upset.
Yeah, before they
Thank you, buddy.
traded for Marshon Lattimore, I shouldn't have stopped him because he was about to have him win in the Super Bowl. We were about to play hail to the you-know-who's, right? I think it's Commanders, but it could be the Redskins. But you sing whatever you want to say.
Sing what you want, man.
Whatever you want to
As
sing.
long as you're singing, because they're scoring tutties.
We're not shaming you on this show because we believe what you guys believe.
We're on the same page.
Especially today on Election Day.
Oh, yeah. You know the thing that sucks? We hate it, too.
We hate it
Hate
so much.
it.
We voted for the same person you did.
Exactly who you think.
Before they traded for Marshon Lattimore, I already thought, looking at the schedule, it's hard to find losses. But if their defense improves substantially and they cover receivers a lot better moving forward, a really good team just got a lot better. The Steelers are not a club that goes through their wide receivers. They have, in fact, needed wide receiver help so badly that they traded for Mike Williams of the Jets today, who's had a really disappointing season in the AFC. I don't need Marshon Lattimore for that Pittsburgh game, which is not to say, by the way, that the Steelers might not beat Washington. But if they do or they don't, it's not going to be because you just couldn't cover their wide receivers. That's not what they are. The Eagles game in Philly next Thursday, go ahead and rest up for that one, Marshon. Because when you've got A.J. Brown and you've got Devontae Smith, and all of a sudden I can slide Benjamin St-Juste down and I can travel Lattimore and I have a chance to match up better. I got 2 games with Philly and that wide receiver tandem, that's a huge deal. I still play, to his point, C.D. Lamb multiple times.
Yeah, I know Dallas is spiraling, but that dude still goes 13 for 170 every other week. So, yeah, I need that. If I'm going to where I'd like to go this year, you're going to face somebody that gets open against everybody. So you need a one. You need that dude. You know what I mean? It's like having an offense in baseball where you need somebody in that lineup that can give you a good at bat against really good pitching. May not get a hit every time, but at least it's going to make them work some. So that's what this is to me.
If he is who we think he is, if he's still really, really good when he's healthy, then he should be running around again if he plays this weekend with George Pickens. Again, I got no problem saying learn the playbook, rest that hamstring. November 14th will be your debut Thursday night in Philadelphia.
Mhm.
Seriously. But you need him for those two games. I would have him travel with CD Lamb. The Titans don't have a quarterback, but they have a pretty solid wide receiving core, right? Calvin Ridley among their options. Um, Chris Olave, if he's back from a
If he's back
concussion,
healthy, yeah.
is a very, very good receiver in New Orleans. That would be fun because that's just a rematch of every day at practice. And Atlanta loads up at receiver. Cousins is lighting it up right now. They've
Mhm.
got Drake London, Darnell
Mooney's had
Mooney,
some big plays for them.
Ray McLeod. Like, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a really good offense. They get those guys open. Kyle Pitts, and they can hum up and down the field. So you're playing a couple of legitimate offenses, couple of good wide receiver cores that he's going to help you with down the stretch.